RC Aerobatics podcast. I'm your host, Rich Whitlow. This week we had the event director from the Tucson Aerobatic Shootout, Kevin Garland. We talk about his history and the history of the shootout and how you can find out more information on how to go see this great event. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Hey, Kevin. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. It's I'm glad we got a little bit better time difference than when I interviewed Sasha.
Yeah.
Had to be in the middle of the night, you know. Oh, only 2 hours this time.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
Yeah. In case anybody doesn't know you, why don't you give us a little bit about your background before we start talking about the shootout?
Yeah, so I've been flying RC since I was 7 years old. My grandfather actually lived next door to me, and he was the one that introduced me to the hobby. I've been doing it ever since, never stopped, never took a break. Of course, some things slowed down, it made it hard to make it out to the flying field, but such as college and sports and things like that at a younger age. And then today, kids definitely slow it down a bit, but I keep going. I make time for it. I bring the kids out to the RC field. But I have two kids, a boy and a girl. One just turned 1 and one just turned 3 recently. And then, of course, I have my lovely wife, Brenna, that also helps out with the shootout and fully supports just running this as a team together.
Oh, terrific. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do the toddlers like the airfield and getting out there at the airplanes?
So they love it. We have like a little mini tractor and all these little ride-on toys we bring out. And, Skylar ride it all around the field. We try to keep him south of the runway when pilots are flying, but he's always the first one out to go grab my airplane and bring it back. I have to kind of beat him to it.
That's awesome.
And then the little girl, Cora just started walking. So she's starting to get a feel of, where not to go, where she can go. So, but they're around airplanes all the time. So I don't think I'm going to have a problem with them, hopefully never breaking anything out there.
Well, good. We need to get Skylar to come visit us down here where we have a bunch of grass fields, and we'll teach him how to do the lawnmower, man.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, he actually helps on the club day because his little tractor has a trailer, and every time we have to go pick up weeds and things, he'll load up his own tractor and go and dump it. So it's keep him busy out there.
Absolutely. And what do you do for a living?
So I'm a UAS pilot or operator. So I'm kind of getting out of the operator stage and we're going into a manager stage. So currently, I'm the flight operations lead for L3 Harris out of Tucson, Arizona.
Okay.
So it started out as a small company, 20, 30 people. And in 2017 or 18, I can't remember, we were purchased by L3 Technologies, which then turned into L3 Harris. So you can kind of look at L3 Harris being similar to like Boeing and Lockheed Martin and those type of companies.
Wow.
So,
well, that seems to be a popular job amongst the competitors. I've interviewed a lot of people who working in the industry for sure. Yeah,
it's a little different these days too. Back when you had the I call them Andrew Jeske, Jason Schulman, and Sean McMurtry, and I mean, there's a few other guys that used to fly UAVs a long time ago. I know Andrew still does. But back then, there was a lot more manual pilots, like you're actually physically flying the UAV. Right. And it's kind of changed in the last couple of years where the manual pilot's kind of out of the picture. It's only really there for test pilots. So like our goal for our UAV is not have any manual pilot in the loop, and it's all automatic at that point.
Wow.
So
I guess technology's moving ahead no matter what.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And no doubt. And I know you're also involved in IMAC. What do you do with IMAC?
So right now, I currently compete in the unlimited class. I
Hmm.
try to compete at least for the amount of time I have to practice. So
Yeah,
I always tell people when you go from advanced to unlimited, that's when if you don't practice, it's gonna show for sure.
yeah, no doubt.
You can just show up the day of the contest and hope to win. But I do that for, I try to compete when I can. Helping
Hmm.
out wise, I run the Tucson IMAC here in Tucson, Arizona.
Hmm.
Now it's there's two big RC airfields in Tucson. There's Tempa, which is on the west side of town.
Hmm.
That's actually where the shootout is at. And then there's TRCC, which is the club that I'm a part of. And I'm also the president of the club as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
I run the contest there. Um, I've been approached to run for a board member position this year, but haven't made up my mind yet.
Oh, well,
just
terrific.
Yeah, just due to time. So we'll
Hmm.
gotta talk to the wife and get permission on that one.
I hear you. I hear
so,
you.
but other than that, pretty much my big thing with IMAC these days is running the shootout and also competing
Hmm.
when I can, and also running the local contests here in the
Oh,
Southwest region.
well, terrific, terrific. Why don't we start off with what is the Tucson Aerobatic Shootout?
So the Tucson Aerobatic Shootout is an invitational only event, meaning we do have an invitational class, but we also invite IMAC pilots to compete as well by invitation.
Hmm.
Now, when the event first started, there were so many entry fees, and I can't really quote exactly when the event started. I think it was 2001, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Uh-huh.
But it was pretty much at the last years of the TOCs when the shootout started. And back then, and even I remember trying to qualify for the shootout living on the East Coast back then. Um, there was a lot of times I got denied because I didn't qualify. Um,
Hmm.
and these days, I mean, as you know, it's a little fewer people competing, and we're trying to get everyone that we can. So pretty much, if you sign up these days, you're probably going to guarantee that you're in. Now, with
Hmm.
that being said, if it keeps growing over the years, for example, we have a lot bigger pallet count compared to our last shootout, which was in 2019.
Hmm.
But if it keeps growing, we might have to go back to that process again because you simply just can't fit in this whole contest, over Wednesday through Sunday.
Right.
So, so we invite sportsmen through unlimited class to compete in IMAC, and then we have a dedicated invitational class where we invite previous TOC pilots, previous Clover Creek invitational pilots, um, world pilots, and etc. So I mean, you're looking at we can kind of go over the pilots list here.
Hmm.
You have Gernot, Sasha, Alex Drelling, which recently won himself into the shootout and from the 2018 shootout.
Wow.
Aaron Garl, Stephen Gregg from New Zealand. You have Aaron from Australia, Andrew
Hmm.
Jeske, Kurt Coling, Bryant Mack, Spencer Norquist, Santiago Perez, Jason Schulman, Matthew Stringer, and Yuhei Suzuki from
Wow.
Japan. So get a pretty good lineup for invitational pilots. And the cool thing is if you're in the unlimited class competing and you win unlimited in the shootout, that's an automatic invitation to the invitational class at the next shootout.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Excellent.
yeah, which is how Alex got in for the 2019 shootout.
Uh-huh.
So,
So the difference between an unlimited class and the invitational side,
yeah.
what is different about those two classes?
Probably the biggest thing is the K factors of the menu, of the sequences. They're much
Hmm.
harder than the unlimited class. You're looking at, and I have my cheat sheet over here on the website, but let's pull up a sequence, right? So if we look at unlimited, our known sequence this year is 536K factor,
Right. Uh-huh.
and then if we go to one of the invitational knowns, they're a little higher. You're looking at 550 and then on up to like 571. I've seen them hit 600 before.
Okay.
So, and there's a lot more elements in all the figures as well.
I
Um,
got you.
They
So in the
could be.
standard unlimited class, they'll be flying this year's IMAC unlimited, or will
Yes,
they
that's
have a
correct.
special? Okay, all right.
So
So they'll
what
have a.
there's well there's a known A and a known B. So the known A is your typical 2022 IMAX sequences.
Okay,
So
okay.
they will fly that Wednesday, Thursday, and Thursday for the IMAC classes.
Mm-hmm.
And then Friday they will fly known B, which is prepared for the shootout. So this is a
Okay.
totally different sequence, and it doesn't really. There's if you go look at those sequences because they're posted on the website, you will see some illegal maneuvers in there that you don't normally see on IMAC contests.
Right.
The phrase we always use is "it's the shootout."
That's right.
Yeah. So
Absolutely. Well, good deal. So, with the groups there, are there any days that they actually fly unknowns, or are they all knowns?
they will fly one unknown and one known every day of the contest.
Mm-hmm.
So the event starts on Wednesday, October 12th. They'll get that unknown at the pilots judges meeting the day before,
Mm-hmm.
and the IMAC pilots will at least. They're the first to fly on every day, so it will be IMAC unknown first, and then they
Mm-hmm.
go into IMAC known, and they only fly one sequence, of course, of each. So even during the known, they only fly one sequence.
Okay.
Just not enough time to do two sequences for how much for the known for how much how many pilots there are.
Right. Right. And
so
with
and
and with the number of pilots, I mean, you basically have time to get through the sequences and then one round of a freestyle, and then you're pretty wrapped up for the day. Yeah.
yeah, so Wednesday and Thursday we don't have freestyle those days, so it's a little easier for me as a
Oh, okay.
contest. But Friday, you introduce one round of freestyle at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
which I've been lucky. The 3 years I've run it so far, I've been lucky to get it done before the cutoff time. But I remember visiting a shootout before I started running it, and
Mm-hmm.
they had a rainstorm come in. It kind of delayed them about 30 minutes, and they were flying nearly in the dark when they got done with that round
Oh
that
wow,
year.
and if I remember correctly, it stayed light pretty late there, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it starts getting dark around 6:30 to 7 when it starts to get dark around that time of the year.
Okay, all right,
So,
very good.
and then the field itself technically has sound rules at 6 o'clock, but luckily they got permission that year to go a little bit past that 6 o'clock mark.
Yeah, yeah. I saw somebody ask the question, but you do apply the sound rules for the contest.
Yeah, unfortunately, even though we're out in the middle of a desert, there's one person that complains about sound score or about the sound. So
Yeah, I understand.
I've been trying to change the rule a little bit to make it work. It's just with us not doing the shootout the past 2 years due to COVID, I kind of want to keep everything the same, and then maybe
Hmm.
next year we can visit the ideas that I have in place.
I gotcha.
So we don't want to take chances pretty much for this year.
Yeah, I can understand that for sure.
Yeah.
And how did you get involved in running the shootout?
So in 20, when was it? So I ran my first one in 2017.
Hmm.
Tony Russo ran the last one, and he pretty much contacted me and asked me, "Hey, would you like to run the shootout? I've seen you've been doing well with your local IMAC events." And I took a deep breath, and I was like, "That's a little bit more than a IMAC contest." I mean, not only it's a contest, but you have money involved. Which, when you
Right.
start getting money involved, that's when pilots start acting a little different at contests.
Hmm.
Um, I will say the group of people we have today, because I hear stories about the old days of the TOC and how
Hmm.
competitive they were back then.
Right.
I will say these days they're a lot more chilled than they were back in the TOC days. I feel like the pilots are the ones that helped me out in that case.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, they
So
seem to be a good group, especially the people I've gotten to interview so far. They really enjoy and like the sport and want the sport to do well. And I think we all see that if we don't promote it and treat the sport right, I mean, it'll whittle down to nothing for sure.
oh yeah, for sure.
So, what would you consider if you had to name one thing that was special about the shootout? What do you think that is?
I think the history of it.
Uh huh.
There's we've been talks about changing fields in our past, but it's kind of hard to just because of the history behind it. Like everyone knows that Tampa's the place for the shootout.
Right.
There's been a lot of competitors that are, they don't fly as much these days, but there were TOC pilots that came to fly the shootout as well.
Hmm.
I think it's just the history behind it is what makes it such a special event in my case.
I gotcha. I gotcha. And is it run similarly to when it started, or has it evolved over the years, or has it changed much?
I think, Mike Marcelin ran the shootout, I think, for about 10 years. And
Hmm.
he told me about every year they would change just a little bit at a time of the shootout, of the rules. But I think for the majority, it's pretty much stayed the same.
Uh huh.
The schedules and, flying a known B on Friday and Saturday, having an invitational class and IMAC together. I think all that's kind of been like that since it's almost started.
Right. Right.
So,
Well, that's probably not a bad way to do it too. That people don't see a major change and go, "Wait a minute, this is a different contest."
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think probably one of the biggest changes though is back when it started. I remember reading a lot of it in the AMA magazines and the model magazines. But now, I mean, you've got all sorts of social media posting. We see live streams and lots of pictures and that kind of stuff. What all goes into getting the media out for it and during the contest?
So a lot of it, Dave Johnson does a lot of work on that and getting the
Hmm.
promotion out there. So that's why, him and his crew over at Desert Aircraft, because Desert Aircraft is the main sponsor of the event. That is,
Right.
this is pretty much Dave's baby as an event, as an event goes.
Uh huh.
So, he does a lot of that reaching out. And then, of course, myself, I'll go out and post on social media pages such as Facebook, Instagram, etc.
Hmm.
But during the event, Charles Taylor, which is one of the competitors as well, does a live stream. And we usually do it on YouTube. And he's been a big help of getting it, out there on YouTube on live stream and, having multiple views as well. Like not only having the one camera shot that you follow the airplane with, but having where he can switch it to a camera view out on the where the banners are located, so you can see the airplane fly by at a different angle.
Right.
And also having it up on the drone as well. Like we'll have a quadcopter flying, during the event, and we can make the live stream, feed through, from the drone down to the live stream,
Hmm.
and
That's a,
just a click of a button to change different
yeah.
views.
That's a pretty professional production there, man.
Yeah, and the only problem we have is it gets saved to YouTube, and then YouTube cuts it out because of the music for
Yeah.
copyright reasons.
No doubt.
That's been our only problem. Some kind of sneak by, but majority of them get axed. And I mean, luckily it's
Yeah.
still saved on my end, so I can go back and fix it if I need to.
Right. Right. Yeah, we had that problem at the Nats with the fireworks. That's
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy. You would think that would be kind of
yeah,
a a, a good usage of the music because it's an
yeah,
event, but they don't see
yeah.
it that way for sure. One thing I noticed when the year I was lucky enough to be there and see everything was the freestyle seems to be a special freestyle event, and especially as it gets closer and closer to finals,
Oh yeah.
with the people pushing a little more. Um, what do you feel about the energy of that and how that kind of evolved into such a, a tremendously exciting freestyle event?
I, you know, I've been flying. Kind of take it from my personal perspective, but I've been, I'm a freestyle pilot as well. Nowhere close to the pilots that come to the shootout.
Yeah.
But when I first started doing freestyle, there was no way the airplanes could handle the maneuvers they do today. They would break wings left and right.
Right.
Um, and I think that has a lot to do with it is the design of the aircraft able to push those limits.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, these pilots are doing maneuvers that I don't even understand how they stay together. Definitely for people who are like tweaking those the 120s and those engines like all the way to lean to get the most power out of them, and you need to in Tucson because we are at a higher elevation here, which can be very tricky to those pilots that are flying at sea level. And
Right.
I warn everyone, I understand you're good at flying at sea level, but when you come up here, it's a different game. When you start doing the more low and slow stuff type of flying,
Mm-hmm.
and the
There's
tumbles.
not as much thickness in the air to keep you in the air, huh?
Yeah, for sure. So I warn them, like, if you're going to do that extra tumble, be careful because you could end up in the dirt.
Yeah, no doubt. And there seems to be usually a nice little pile at the end of the contest.
Yeah, and like you said, Friday, the first round that afternoon, it's pretty chilled, and then
Mm-hmm.
Saturday, that first round, it's still kind of chilled, but about that second round on Saturday when it starts to get interesting,
Yeah.
um, because they know like they either got to fly lower, harder, or faster,
Right. Right.
whatever they can to help the judge, get the higher scores from the judges.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. One of my favorite memories was watching Rhett Lambert fly, and apparently he was doing some new stuff, and his dad was his spotter, and he did a super low fast um, pass, and then went into a snap right in front of himself, and I watched his dad's knees buckle.
Oh yeah.
It was so cool. Oh my goodness. So, what do you think is the most memorable contest that you guys have had so far?
Man, that's a tough one for me. I'm going to say it was probably my, as a personal thing, it's probably 2017. Just me getting through my first shootout is probably my
Right,
most
right.
memorable one. But if you look at it as a whole, I think the last shootout we had in 2019 was probably my most memorable out of the three that I've ran and been a
Yeah.
part of. Um,
And then it's amazing because nobody knew that 2020 was going to bring us all the trouble that it brought.
Yeah, and that's another way I kind of look at it is,
Mm-hmm.
we were going to run one in 2020. I mean, we were decided in January to go ahead and let 2020 happen, and then COVID got worse, and then we saw that all the countries kind of shutting down, and we knew that we couldn't run it
Yeah.
because I think the biggest, you asked the question about, what's the biggest difference in the shootout versus everything else. It's the invitation. It's the international pilots that come to the
Right.
U.S. to go. And I've always, Dave, myself, I've always said, if we can't get international pilots here, what's the point of running the shootout at that point?
Yeah.
Because we wanted to bring this whole country to Tucson, Arizona to compete against each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite amazing because there's a lot of different people that show up there, and uh, that watching, going out there and saying, "Oh, look, that guy came all the way from Australia or Japan or Italy," and that's just it's just amazing, and everybody having just as good a time. I mean,
Oh yeah, for
crazy.
sure.
What a good deal. The another question I wanted to kind of ask you about it was your planning. Is this something that you start planning early in the year, or is it kind of set up now and things kind of or run itself, or how does your planning go?
So my end goal, it does start about, I would say probably about November, December of the previous year, is when the planning starts. And that's more of me going to Dave and asking Dave, do you want to do another one?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because Dave does a lot of work. I mean, just because you run desert aircraft, but to run desert aircraft and to do the shootout stuff, I mean that just adds a lot to his plate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first question. And we think about it probably till January, and then January we kind of decide, yes, we're going to do this. No, we're not going to do this. This past year was pretty interesting because we kind of decided like over a year before to do this year's shootout. And I
Oh,
wonder
really?
if that's when we have such a great turnout, of pilots because we decided so early on to
Right,
do it. Where
right.
in previous years we wouldn't announce it until like February of the year. And so that may be something we see change in the future, is us announcing it like maybe just a couple of weeks after the current shootout, this year's shootout, hopefully. But that planning starts as soon as we announce, the shootout that's going to happen. And that's going through and inviting, reaching out to all our invitational pilots and all our international pilots to see if they're interested in coming to compete. Reaching out to our freestyle pilots, because the IMAC pilots, they're going to come. I mean, as soon as we put that registration up, they're going to start signing up left and right. But trying to build up that invitational pool and the freestyle pool is the biggest thing to do firsthand. And we also reach out to previous IMAC international pilots to make sure that see if they're interested in coming as well. Right. Because, it does take time to do all, get all these bookings done in order to come to Tucson in October.
Right.
So, but, besides that, as we get closer to the month of October, I had all my known sequences done by May, all the known Bs. All my unknowns, I mentioned to all my sequence writers, they need to be turned into me by the end of this month.
Okay.
I've already got the majority of them, so I just got to pester a few people to get the rest.
Yeah.
But, it's things like this that really help a contest director out, because I can go in and get those input into the scoring program. I can get all the pilots inputted into the scoring program. And that's why this year there was a new rule out where if you didn't sign up by this date, the fees are going to go up another $100.
Right.
And it really pushes people to sign up, because the sooner the people sign up, the sooner the people pay. It makes my job so much easier, because I can go ahead and start making pilot badges for those pilots. I can make pilot packets. Go ahead and start making the pilot order, the judging order. So pretty much by 1st of October, all my work's done.
Yeah.
If I meet that goal.
I gotcha.
So, of course, life comes in the way, right? So,
yeah,
but my goal is about October 1st to have everything ready to go. The pilot order for every round, the judging matrix, everything's done.
Wow.
So that I show up, and it just, from that point, when I say go, it pretty much self-runs itself. And the only time I have issues is if a pilot doesn't show up at the last second.
Right.
And that kind of throws a curveball at me. But it's the way we have the spreadsheet set up, it's pretty easy to delete and then rearrange all the orders on the fly.
Oh, very interesting. And in case those listening don't know, what are the dates of the shootout this year? October what?
Yeah, it's October 12th through the 16th. And the number one question I always get is, when is freestyle?
That's right.
So freestyle will be Friday afternoon, probably starting around 4 o'clock, I think, for that round, 3 or 4 o'clock. And then we have 2 rounds of freestyle Saturday. One's going to start probably around 12 or 1 o'clock, and then the last one will be about 3 or 4 o'clock. Kind of depends on how the schedule goes. And then we have 2 rounds on Sunday as well.
Very good. Very good. And I'll post a link to the site, so if anybody wants to know where to go to see and visit, because there's a great place there's great spectator areas, and it's a fun event to watch for sure.
Sure.
So sponsors wise, we know DA is the main sponsor, and they do a lot of the work. Who else do you have on board sponsoring this year?
Well, I don't have because Dave's kind of in charge of that list, but I will say
I got you.
In previous years, I think our 2 biggest sponsors have been Desert Aircraft and JR. Have been the 2 biggest sponsors to help us out.
Yeah.
In previous years, we've had AJ Aircraft, of course, Atlanta Trophy Shop. They make our trophies, so that's John Bradley out of Georgia. He provides us trophies. Camaro, and back when now JR, Cardin. So Cardin's been a help in the past. Powerbox Systems has also been a big help. RC Depot, which is a part of JR, of course. There's a list on the website of our previous sponsors, but those are probably the biggest sponsors.
Biggest ones, yeah. And you'll have a vendor row like you did before?
Yeah. So we'll have a vendor row. I'm not too sure who's coming this year. I know Tim from Northwest RC will be there for sure. He's also a
Mm-hmm.
big sponsor of the event. And Tim, provides all this stuff from Extreme Flight as well, which is
Mm-hmm.
also a big sponsor. AJ Aircraft has been there in our past. Um, and of course, JR always typically has a big booth as well. So not sure who else is coming this year, but those have been the past few years. Those are people have come.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So if what is the contest website if somebody wants to find out more information?
Yeah, it's Tucson Aerobatic Shootout.com.
Terrific. And if somebody wants to get a hold of you, what's your social media information and contact info?
Yeah, so Facebook, if you search just my name, Kevin Garland, I'll pop up. And then like Instagram, it's Garland K89 or KG Aviation, just depends on how you put it in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, I think my email's on the website as well. So
Terrific. Terrific. And we'll hope that there won't be too many sad moments this year, but
yeah,
I'm sure there'll be a few for
yeah.
sure.
So I know I'm a little bit bad luck when that comes around.
I know. There's always I think I saw a meme of a picture from TOC2 when somebody
Yeah,
went down. It was you poking your head into the picture
yeah,
saying, I did that, you know.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
funny stuff. Funny stuff. Well, good deal. Well, I appreciate you taking the time and telling us all about the shootout. I hope it's a great event. I wish I could be there this year, but hopefully we'll get some people finding out about it and watching the live streams and just seeing how great an event it is because it's one of the more exciting events I've ever been to for sure.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for doing this today. So,
Oh, you bet. All right, man. Take care and good luck with the event.
all right, have a good one. All
You
right,
too.
bye.
Thanks for listening to the episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. A very special thanks to my good friend John Papa Gros, who wrote the song Deep in the Mud that is used as the show bumper music. Check him out on his website, www.johnpapagro.com. A link is in the show notes. See you at the next episode.